The top 10 criminal mysteries and psychological theories. Criminal mysteries have captured the imagination of the public for centuries. The allure of these cases often lies in the psychological aspects that surround them, the motives, emotions, and mental states of both the perpetrators and the victims. This video will examine 10 of the most intriguing criminal mysteries in history and discuss the psychological theories that may explain the events or behaviors involved. We will explore each case in detail and investigate the potential psychological underpinnings that may have driven the criminals to commit their heinous acts. 1. Jack the Ripper. One of the most notorious criminal mysteries of all time, Jack the Ripper terrorized the streets of London's Whitechapel district between August and November 1888. Despite extensive police efforts, the identity of the killer remains unknown, and his brutal murders continue to fascinate amateur sleuths and criminologists alike. Psychological theory, psychopathy. The cold-blooded nature and brutality of the Ripper's murders have led many to believe that he may have been a psychopath. Psychopathy is characterized by a lack of empathy, remorse, and guilt, as well as a propensity for violence and manipulation. 2. The Zodiac Killer. Operating in Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Zodiac Killer claimed responsibility for at least 5 murders, though some believe the true number may be much higher. Taunting authorities with cryptic letters, the Zodiac Killer left a trail of fear and confusion in his wake. Despite intense efforts by law enforcement, the identity of the killer remains unknown. Psychological theory, narcissism. The Zodiac Killer's need for attention and his propensity for taunting authorities with letters and ciphers suggest that he may have been driven by narcissism. Narcissistic individuals are often characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance, a need for admiration, and a willingness to exploit others for personal gain. 3. The Black Dahlia Murder. In 1947, aspiring actress Elizabeth Short was found brutally murdered in Los Angeles. Dubbed the Black Dahlia by the press, the case remains unsolved and continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts. Psychological theory, sadism. The mutilation and disfigurement of Elizabeth Short's body have led many to believe that her killer may have been a sadist. Sadism is a psychological condition in which an individual derives pleasure from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. 4. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann. The 2007 disappearance of 3-year-old Madeleine McCann from a resort in Portugal remains one of the most enduring mysteries in criminal history. Despite an extensive and highly publicized investigation, Madeleine's fate and the identity of her abductor remain unknown. Psychological theory, pedophilia. Given Madeleine's age and the circumstances of her disappearance, it is possible that her abductor may have been motivated by pedophilia, a psychiatric disorder characterized by the sexual attraction to prepubescent children. 5. The JonBenet Ramsey Murder. In 1996, 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey was found murdered in her family's Colorado home. The case remains unsolved, and the various theories surrounding her death have been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and television specials. Psychological theory, intrafamilial dynamics. Some theories suggest that JonBenet's murder may have been the result of a dysfunctional family dynamic, with psychological factors such as jealousy, resentment, or stress playing a role in the crime. 6. The D.B. Cooper hijacking. In 1971, a man using the alias D.B. Cooper hijacked a Boeing 727, extorted $200,000 in ransom, and parachuted from the plane mid-flight, never to be seen again. Despite extensive investigation and analysis of the evidence, Cooper's true identity and fate remain a mystery. Psychological theory, antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Cooper's daring hijacking and his willingness to put others' lives at risk for personal gain suggest he may have had ASPD. This disorder is characterized by a persistent pattern of disregard for, and violation of, the rights of others, as well as a lack of remorse and empathy. 7. The Isdal Woman. In 1970, the partially burned body of an unidentified woman was discovered in a remote area of Norway. Known as the Isdal Woman, she had ingested a large number of sleeping pills before her death, and her personal belongings had been stripped of all identifying information. Despite extensive efforts, her identity and the circumstances of her death remain unknown. Psychological theory, dissociative fugue. One theory suggests that the Isdal woman may have been experiencing a dissociative fugue, a rare psychiatric condition in which an individual loses their sense of personal identity and engages in unplanned, often purposeless, travel. The condition is usually triggered by severe stress or trauma. 8. The boy in the box. In 1957, the body of an unidentified young boy was discovered in a cardboard box in Philadelphia. Despite extensive investigation and efforts to identify the child, the case remains unsolved, and the boy's identity and the circumstances of his death are still unknown. Psychological theory, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, MSBP. One theory suggests that the child may have been a victim of MSBP, a form of child abuse in which a caregiver, usually a mother, deliberately induces or fabricates illness in a child for attention or sympathy. The child's apparent malnourishment and the lack of identification could indicate that his death was the result of such abuse. 9. The Tylenol poisonings. In 1982, 7 people in the Chicago area died after ingesting extra-strength Tylenol capsules laced with potassium cyanide. The case, which led to widespread fear and panic, remains unsolved, and the person responsible for the poisonings has never been identified. Psychological theory, terrorism or sociopathy. The Tylenol poisonings could be the result of a terrorist act, driven by political or ideological motivations, or an act committed by a sociopath, an individual who displays a pervasive pattern of disregard for the rights and welfare of others. 10. The East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker, Golden State Killer. Active between 1976 and 1986, the East Area Rapist, also known as the Original Night Stalker and the Golden State Killer, was responsible for at least 13 murders, 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries in California. Although a suspect, Joseph James DeAngelo, was arrested in 2018, the case's details and motives continue to intrigue and horrify the public. Psychological theory, sexual sadism and paraphilic disorder. DeAngelo's pattern of sexual assault, torture, and murder suggests that he may have been motivated by sexual sadism and possibly suffered from a paraphilic disorder. Conclusion. These 10 criminal mysteries represent some of the most intriguing and baffling cases in history. By examining the psychological theories associated with each case, we can gain a deeper understanding of the motives and mental states that may have driven these criminals to commit their heinous acts. While these cases may never be fully solved, the study of the psychological aspects of criminal behavior remains a valuable tool in the ongoing quest to prevent and solve crimes.